The death penalty has been used since before Christ and before events have been recorded. The death penalty has been a very controversial topic throughout the years. The purpose of my speech is to inform you about the death penalty. During my speech, I will go over the history of the death penalty and how much it has changed over the centuries. I will also be covering the types of capital punishment used in today's society, the crimes that have to be committed to receive the death penalty, and the effects of the death penalty on both the victim's family and the accused family. The death penalty is a very old form of punishment that has been used for a very long time. The first recorded use of the death penalty occurred in the 18th century before Christ by the king of Babylon, King Harambe. He had 25 different crimes that were punishable by death in his laws. The first execution in the British American colonies happened in 1608. Captain George Kendall was executed for being accused of a British spy. The death penalty during this time was practiced very heavily and for minimal crimes such as stealing chickens, trading with Native Americans, or even something as small as stealing grapes. These infractions were put into law by Sir Thomas Dale, Virginia governor. They were later removed because Virginians were scared no one would move to the state. The first states to ever ban the use of capital punishment for any crimes were Rhode Island and Wisconsin. And currently there are 32 states that use the death penalty and 18 that do not. There were many different ways in which the death penalty was carried out. The four most common practices of the death penalty are lethal injection, electrocution, gas chambers, and hanging. Lethal injection first came into being in 1977 by the state of Oklahoma. This method is done by inserting 2 needles into veins and using drugs that will put the inmate to sleep. Then a solution is injected to paralyze the muscle systems, and lastly they are injected with the solution that stops the heart. Electrocution is the next method. The electric chair was invented in 1888 and was first used in 1890. Shannon Hogan states in the Chicago Tribune article titled Lethal Injection, she states, making someone suffer through their death is wrong, even though they have made their victim suffer. 2 wrongs do not make a right. This process is considered the most inhumane of them. The process starts by strapping the inmate into a modified chair where they are blindfolded. They are then exposed to anywhere from 500 to 2,000 volts of electricity for about 30 seconds. This is continued until the victim is completely dead. Gas chambers were introduced in Nevada in 1924. The inmate is strapped in the chair in an airtight chamber where cyanide gas is released, and scientists say this method feels something like a heart attack. The final method is hanging. This was the most popular form of capital punishment in America until the 1890s. Hanging involves a noose around the neck, and where the inmate stands on a trapdoor, and the trapdoor is released from underneath them. Crimes that have to be committed to be put on death row have changed immensely over the years. Like I stated earlier, stealing grapes or killing chickens were able to make you eligible for the death penalty. Now this is a very bizarre and should really only maybe been a slap on the wrist, but it really happened. In today's world, crimes that are punishable by death penalty mostly with in today's world crimes, the crimes that are punishable by death deal mostly with murder or treason. The death penalty has a huge impact on both families of the victim and the accused. According to Robert T. Moore in his Psychology Today blog, talking about trauma, he states that psychology studies have found that the death penalty produces negative effects on families and friends of murder victims. This is very interesting because one might not think that the death penalty would give a sense of closure to the victim's family and friends, not making it worse. With that said, the death of an inmate has also very negative effects on the family as well. Instead of the inmate maybe serving a life sentence with visitation rights, they are completely taken away from their families instead. This affects the kids of the inmate along with the other family members involved. Catherine M. Garcia of the Telegraph News says, "Make no mistake, I am a conservative, a victim's advocate on the death penalty, and a death penalty supporter. But in my real life experience has taught me that as long as the death penalty is in the books, it will continue to harm survivors for the reason alone it must be ended." There is not much good that comes out of the death penalty for many people, both of the inmate and the victim's friends and family. Capital punishment has been around for a very long time. The death penalty is a very real thing, and I hope that with this paper you were able to learn some new things about the death penalty. Thank you for listening.